A new era has officially begun at Théâtre Cercle Molière in St. Boniface. The storied Francophone theatre company has a new artistic director on the job just in time to help welcome in their 100th anniversary season. We'll take a peek at what audiences can expect from that season in just a little bit. But before that, we'll get to know the new artistic director a little bit better. Marie-Ève Fontaine is no stranger to the Winnipeg theatre community, having worked as an actor, puppeteer, and animator in Manitoba and across Canada on several different projects. Marie-Ève joins us in the Classic 107 studios this morning. Nice to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. First of all, congratulations on the new job. You've been in this post now for about a month, I think. How's it all been going so far?
It's amazing. I mean, I know this Cercle Molière quite well for having worked with them before as an artist and as a independent producer, and also I started out in their youth theater festival doing plays there. So I know them quite well, and so it's nice to step in the offices in a different role, though. That's quite different. It's quite intense. I had 1 month of overlap with my predecessor, Geneviève Pelletier, who was there for 13 years. So she has quite a bit of ropes to hand over to me.
Sure.
And we're not quite. I think we're not quite finished. I don't know everything yet, but yeah, it's quite thrilling so far.
What first attracted you to the job when it was first posted? When you saw that job up, what made you think, yeah, that's something that I want to be a part of?
It's funny. I've been away from Winnipeg. Like I've been living in Ottawa for the past 15 years. I moved there to study because there was no French theater program in Manitoba. So I went to Ottawa and did that, and then started getting gigs over there. And the Ottawa Gatineau area, it's a really rich ecosystem of theater, and there's English and French and all kinds of overlaps and lots of companies. So I did lots of stuff over there, and it was great. And as I was moving through my career at first as an actor, and then starting to write and starting to produce my own shows, I linked up with Le TCM again to produce this pretty big show called Cet été qui chantait, based on a Gabriel Roy book, and so I've been like quite frequently. I've been in constant communication and relationship with Le Cercle for the last, I would say, solidly 5 years. And so when the job opened up, it kind of felt, I was kind of ready for a homecoming. And the thing is, I work mostly in French, and there's only Le Cercle Molière for French theater in Manitoba. And I was like, I don't know if I can move back and really feel fulfilled as an artist. But then when the job opened up, I thought, oh my God, I think this might be for me. And so it just kind of happened. Yeah.
So as you've been working away from the Francophone theatre community here in Winnipeg for the last decade and a half, what have you noticed about the work and the reputation of Le Cercle outside of Manitoba? Maybe did that play a role in you thinking, oh yeah, this is a really worthwhile place to create theater that reverberates well beyond Winnipeg?
Oh, absolutely. So it's interesting because at the moment that I left for my studies, that's about when the transition happened between Roland Mahé, who was Geneviève's predecessor. He was there for 44 years. He made the company into a professional theater company. From a really good amateur one to a professional one. And so, but it was quite classic. Like what he would do was lots of comedies, lots of tried and tested scripts, and the productions were very good. But it was pretty conventional. And at the time, things were kind of in the theater world, at the very least, things were kind of shifting towards like new creations, new works. And Geneviève, so when Geneviève took over, she really did a kind of a 180 with the company and tried to help develop local voices and also develop like international partnerships to tell new stories and to open up. In the French community, we have lots of immigration from Africa because of French-speaking countries, and they weren't quite represented in the programming of Roland Mahé. So Geneviève made a lot of initiatives to get these people in the theater and get them represented on stage, and but it some of the old guard was kind of felt left behind from that shift, and so I'm arriving at a time where a lot of the way has been cleared to open up to these new audiences. But I feel like I'm still connected with some of the old guard. So I feel like I'm at a place where we can actually merge these two worlds together and tell stories that kind of bring people together. That's my hope.
I was just about to say, you're laying out something of a plan for your tenure as artistic director, which has only now been in place for a month. But I can hardly think of a better time to start a tenure than on a nice round numbered year for Théâtre Cercle Molière, and it is celebrating its 100th anniversary, as we mentioned, this year. How is that a daunting prospect to start a new century for a theater company, or how are you approaching this role as you are beginning to put your own stamp as artistic director on this storied theater company?
Is it daunting? I mean, it's pretty special. Like just the fact that Le Cercle Molière is 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's the oldest continuously running theater company in North America, both in French and English or any language. So I'm astounded that this is in Saint Boniface, Manitoba, where I grew up. Right? This is my theater. It's my artistic North Star. So that's really exciting that we have all this history, and to start in the 100th. I didn't do the programming, right? Geneviève got all of that together, and I'm here to defend it, of course. And I'm really excited to learn my role through this intense season. And I think that it will allow for my first season that I will program, the 101st, to be a little more low key, so we can go back to basics and recoup and kind of reconfigure to set out what I'm hoping to do.
So before the recoup, of course, comes that 100th anniversary season that is starting up in October, I think is the first production. Maybe let's get down to some brass tacks. What can people expect from this century celebration at Théâtre Cercle Molière?
Yeah, it's a nice, big, rich season. We're starting off with a show about Pauline Boutal, who was the company's third artistic director. So she was Roland Mahé's predecessor.
Wow.
She was there for about 30 years, and she was the first woman to basically artistically direct the company. And so we've been 3 women in a century. That's pretty amazing, out of 6 people.
Yeah.
So the first show about Pauline Boutal is written by a local a superstar author, Lise Gabory-Diallo. So that's very, very exciting. We have a whole cast of local francophone superstars in there. So that's going to be a really, really amazing show to launch this season with, kind of a tribute to Pauline Boutal. And we're following that with Bun Bun. It's an adaptation from a classical text by Jean Genet. It's a pretty wild text, and so this is 3 Chinese women who are reinterpreting this classic to talk about what it is to be Chinese in Canada today. So we're exploring identities and how we all fit in. And then in January, it will be my show that I co-produced with Le Cercle in 2023, and we're bringing it back by popular demand. It's called Cet été qui chantait, rough translation, The Summer That Sang.
Right.
And it is based on a book by Gabriel Roy. So I perform with my mom, who's a puppeteer who passed it on to me, and we have it's visual theater and musical theater. So we have a live musician, Gérard Laroche. He's a Juno Award-winning musician, a Métis musician from north of Manitoba, and he's amazing, and we use puppetry and shadow puppetry and a lovely little puppet. And so that's really good for all audiences. Like bring your kids, bring your neighbors, bring your grandma. Really good. And we go on, like I don't know if I should mention all the shows, but we have stuff all the way through to June, and we have shows for the little ones too. So check. We have a lot of stuff going on.
We will absolutely be linking more information at our website later on today, classic107.com and the Classic 107 app to find it. As you've even been talking about those few shows here, Marie-Ève, it's been really interesting to hear that there's such an emphasis on youth and young stories. One thing that we didn't get into is the artist of the Atelier program that exists at Théâtre Cercle Molière, which we interviewed a couple of those artists in the past year. The young artists, the emerging artists in that French theater community. As you look to the next, well, maybe 100 years is a bit too far, but even 10 years to say, how much does the youth sort of movement in theater, performances written by and for younger audiences, performances like yours that are based in puppetry that have always attracted young audiences, how much does looking to that future generation of theatergoer inform what you do as you begin your tenure as artistic director?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's super important to kind of help emerging artists kind of step into this institution. So we've been hosting for more than 50 years a youth theater festival, which is where I started out as an actress, actually. And so we were looking for initiatives to create a bridge between that experience of being a student actor and then being, kind of moving towards professional acting within our company. So last year there was a show called I'm going to forget the title now, but it was basically taking a bunch of really enthusiastic theater people from the FTG cohorts and then spending a year and a half with them to write a script that kind of reflects their life. And the production was really, really successful, and it was a crowd favorite, I would say. And so we're hoping to kind of renew that initiative. It takes a year and the last process took a year and a half. It's nice to have time for the creation to kind of set in and let the kids kind of learn the ropes. So hopefully we'll be able to have another one of those in a couple of years, but that's certainly one way to open a door for emerging artists.
As you contemplate the next years of theater making and performance at Théâtre Cercle Molière, what do you think being artistic director, the artistic leader of this organization, what do you think that's going to do for your own artistry, your own performance? How do you think that this will change the way that you create theater, Marie-Ève?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a tricky little thing, the balance between, I think, the job, which, comprises a lot of things, being here, speaking with you, defending the programming, and like dreaming up some teams and projects and stuff. I think for me, Le Cercle is kind of an accelerator because as a self-producing artist, every self-producing artist knows the motions of doing the grant application, looking for financing. That takes a while. And then once that is confirmed, and it takes quite a bit of time and effort to do that, then you start on the logistics, and that might, take up to a few months. And then so it's quite a bit of work, and in this situation, I am asked yearly to artistically lead a production. So whether that means writing and or directing and or playing in a show, it's part of my contract to be an artist within the company. And that was part of the draw for me too, is, okay, every year I get to put a show together. And you know, I've been self-producing for a few years, so I have a list of shows in my mind, like a few like rich clusters of ideas that I think could become shows. And being at Le Cercle is an opportunity to kind of cherry pick the best ideas in the context of this company and the audiences that we're trying to reach. And so I'm really excited about that.
Amazing to be able to have the opportunity to contribute artistically in so many different ways, both as a performer and as the new leader of Théâtre Cercle Molière as its artistic director. Marie-Ève Fontaine, thank you so much for joining us here in the Classic 107 studios, and all the best as you begin this tenure in earnest.
Merci, Nolan.